And so could you just talk a little bit about, was your inspiration to make an educational film, did that come right away, or was it something that evolved as you made the film?
Right away. When I made Yoga Unveiled, the first and foremost, I would say the birth of that idea was when I attended a workshop, a yoga workshop by Krishnamacharyaji's grandson, the great Hatha Yogi Krishnamacharya, BKS Iyengarji's guru. So when I went there, I noticed that the students, the attendees were buying so many books. I mean, big textbooks, big and fat, and I just knew that they were yearning for learning everything, but they're not going to have time to go through these books. I just know that readership, we all know readership has been going down, down, down for the last decade or two. The screen has taken its place, more screen time. And so I thought, wow, I felt bad. I said, somebody has to really make a film which brings the overview of the tradition. Who was Patanjali? What are the Vedas? What are the Yoga Sutras? Where did B.K.S. Iyengar come in? How did yoga come to the West? Vivekananda's role. So that it was clear. I had to make a film that almost looks like a textbook. And therefore, the editing was with chapters, timelines, dates, maps, graphics, learning. People can go back and they will, and that's what happened. Teacher training programs across the world are started using Yoga Unveiled as a resource. I did the same with Raga Unveiled and Ayurveda Unveiled, of course. You've seen it. And I'm recommending every academy directors to really make it part of their curriculum, like a book, the required. Because it's people will sit and watch. People will not read all the books, But this,
Right.
yeah. So yes, it was a strategy from the start.
Oh, good. And after seeing it, every individual needs it for a basic understanding of Ayurveda,
Yeah.
because being such a completely different science than any way we've ever thought. I think for every individual to have it will open their mind up to a new sense of the reality of healing yourself.
And it's all these films are extremely, there's one thread that's very common. And because that was the vision of the sages of India, it's not mine, but I just brought it out very, very strongly, that once they watch this film, they are going to feel so empowered, self-empowered, where the capitalistic society has taken everybody away from self-control, fear, buy this, you'll have to have this, you can't look good without this hair dye, and whatever it is.
Right.
And here they're saying everything is in your hands. And it is, and it's so simple. Ayurveda is simple. I mean, the day-to-day living adage is very simple.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and you don't need to spend a penny. You do yoga, you lift your own body, you don't need to pay a gym fee. Everything is here. The breath is here, the bellows are here, the immunity is here, the defense cells, the soldiers are here. There's a spice box in the kitchen with all the oils
Right.
are there. You have sesame oil, coconut, you cook with it, you oil yourself, I
Yeah.
mean, fresh air. So very empowering. That is what really will make this world a better place if we bring it from home to home.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's simple, but it's not easy in the beginning because it's such a paradigm shift for people. So your film will definitely empower people to start to understand that.
But once they feel better because they did it, that in itself is such a catalyst, right? Experiential.
Yeah.
Vedic knowledge is always, that's why they proposed everything to be an experience, not book knowledge. They have to feel it. So that is there. But yes, we can take the horse to the water, but they have to drink.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. So the next piece is on food,
Mhm.
which is an important part of Ayurveda. not only do we need to understand who we are, but we need to understand how to live our lives. And the type of food we eat and how we eat it and how we spice it are very important parts of digestion and understanding health, I think. So we'll just watch the piece and then you can comment on it.
Sure.
Ayurveda has taken the art of eating to the heavens, and for very good reasons. Functions of the mind and body both have a chemical basis. The 6 tastes and the relative quantum of the 3 universal qualities or gunas in food will impact both without fail. It also informs that a proper ahar is a cohesive symphony of sight, smell, touch, taste, and loving intentions. All come together to spark a strong Jatra Agni, the ultimate digestive power that translates into health.
The complete transformation of your food, its impact on your consciousness, this should be so perfect that the mind becomes extremely calm. So even the food has an influence on your mind. Even the way the food is digested has an influence on your mind.
And there is this famous dictum in Ayurveda: when your nutrition is wrong, there is no use of medicine. And if your nutrition is right, there is no need for medicine. Ayurveda puts that into the center of its own paradigm. And modern research has this concept that it has just recently discovered this.
There is no question that everything that goes into the organism is what creates the organism.
All this research on nutrition-related diseases, this is rocketing in lightning speed. It's one of the areas in research which gets most attention right now.
But in the modern medical colleges, there is simply no connection created at all.
Today, nutritional science is almost exclusively focused on very short-term goals and very gross outcomes on health. But what's interesting in Ayurveda is that yoga was the purpose. It's not just achieving health, but to take you to that higher level of yoga.
The proof of a pudding is in the eating. It doesn't matter what is the percentage of carbohydrates and fats. It doesn't matter what various elements in the periodic table might appear there. It's all very much about how does the organism appreciate the introduction of that pudding into oneself? How does the organism digest that pudding? How do things work inside the organism?
Mustard, cumin, turmeric, asafoetida, cayenne pepper, curry pepper, black pepper, and those black cinnamon. Amazing! And these are the common spices used in Ayurvedic cooking. These spices alter the quality of the food. change in the property. Unpalatable food become palatable, unacceptable food become acceptable, and the food which is very disturbing to the body become very, very agreeable. These changes of the food are brought by spices.
Everybody gets hungry now.
Especially for Indian food. I've been very passionate always about people understanding food from a different perspective. We're so used to thinking about food from carbohydrates, proteins, and fat, and micronutrients, and everything else that's going on in our crazy world. So could you just speak a little bit to how you think the concept of food is going to influence the health of North Americans when they kind of understand the concept behind food, because food also makes consciousness, which is a very unusual concept for most North Americans.
That's true, but it all boils down to the Panchamahabhuta, the principle of the 5 elements, because they are in us and they are in the vegetation, they're in food, they're in spices. So very closely, tied in with the health itself. If you take a certain spice which has more of this, the water element, or more of the fire element, and you need the opposite, or you know what I'm saying? The relationship is extremely important as far as healing goes or promoting health goes. The combinations. So knowing yourself, as you said before, and then knowing the properties of basic foods and seasonal properties, and how seasons affect us, and they offer the foods that are very, very beneficial to have. So going with the seasonal foods. There are many principles to this, but I think if one is, as a Westerner, if one is really, one believes that all this is solid, Ayurveda, it's unshakable in their hearts and minds. It's not that difficult. I mean, you study and you go with your own body, and you will know what suits you, what doesn't suit you. You will confer with people like, you, Erica, Neelam, experts who will guide you. It's very important. And I don't think there is any need to be overwhelmed. Simple Indian cooking or even Western cooking with good spices and good herbs and all is not difficult. It's not difficult at all. You have to plan your kitchen and your cabinets. You should be equipped with fresh and good pots and good tools. The yantras have to be right, and then it's quick. It's not, people think cooking is difficult. Simple cooking is not, and it is so nutritious and so necessary. We have completely forfeited our well-being to the world of restaurants and wherever people buy food, their nutrition. We've completely forfeited. That's not needed. It's stir frying a little spinach and some vegetables and boiling some quinoa and putting some lentils on it. Tell me how long? 15 minutes? 20 minutes?
Yeah.
We owe it to ourselves, we buy the best tools, we equip ourselves. I think that's where we fall short. You don't equip the kitchen properly or the cabinets with the simple measures. I think somebody should start simple cooking lessons.
I have a course on cooking.
But simple, the word. So that's because it's overwhelming. I can understand.
Yeah, for sure. And one of my teachers said that North Americans live by the taste on their tongue, not about their digestion and their tissues.
Well,
everything is about the taste on their tongue.
You saw in the film how important elimination is.
Yes.
They start by us, right? You all start by asking that, how well your bowels, the movements are, and that's where the real health indicators are.
Yes,
so
for sure.
yeah. But no, definitely we need to take that. We can't forfeit our health to the industries, capitalistic
No.
is taking
Anyone
over.
who's taken my simple cooking course, they've had a profound shift in their understanding of what food and cooking is, right? It's not what we think it is, for
Yes,
sure.
yes. And the spices and how the Indian cooking was designed, it's a very, what shall I say? It's very rich. You know, you can have a cup of chai with just ginger and some cardamom and mint, and it's a spiritual journey for people that I serve it to. They hold a cup and they go, like really, the olfaction goes, the taste buds, you know, so the designs were to bring
Yes.
a sense of real deep well-being, even short-lived. You know, some of them are just a cup of tea, but that's okay. That takes you to the next step to achieve
It all
sure.
it all counts. It's all important.
Step.
All right.
Fun.
Okay, I have one more piece for us, and
Sure. I
it's
hope
on the
I'm
video.
not talking too much. Yeah.
Yeah, just hold on and I will pull it up.
Within the human body, the 5 elements manifest as the Tridosha, or the 3 organizational patterns governing movement, transformation, and structure. Because these qualities predispose us towards certain lifestyle tendencies, Mother Nature has bestowed us with 1 or 2 dominant doshas, while the 3rd complements them in dynamic combinations.
So there was a system in the Vedic culture to identify what are the natural inclinations of people and how to engage them in those inclinations in the most productive way so that they can have a productive, happy and healthy life.
विसर्गादान विक्षेपै सोम सूर्यानिला यथा धारयन्ति जगद्देहं वातपित्त कफास्तथा. Just like the principle of heat represented by the sun and the principle of coolness and creativity represented by the moon and the wind that controls all the activities of the universe, in a similar way the vata, pitta and kapha control all the activities of the body.
As we begin to understand the human biology from a scientific perspective, actually it's very interesting to see that everyone is very unique in their responses to anything, whether it's a situation or a circumstance or a personal relationship or a social interaction or a food or a dietary supplement. No one reacts exactly the same way.
It's a pattern that every organism has that fundamentally comes from the 3 strategies that an individual has when they're confronted with a threat. Fight, flight, or freeze. This is one method that organisms have used since the beginning of the kingdom of animals to react to a threat. So we have the flight for vata, and we have the fight for pitta, and we have the freeze for kapha.
The doshas are nothing separate than Panchamahabhutas.
So doshas actually represent the self-regulatory system. There is a center and then there are the 2 extremes, the thesis, the antithesis and the synthesis. So the body is always going through a process of, balancing by shifting from one extreme to the other and then discovering the central point.
Prakriti of each person is the individual constitution, expressed as the inborn ratio of the Tridosha in each and every cell. This is established at conception per the measure of the 5 elements present in the egg and the sperm.
We call a person's constitution their prakriti. Prakriti, in this case, pra means pratama, kriti means action or reaction. So it's the first action that your organism performs when it's exposed to a certain stimulus.
So every organ, every moment, any activity that happens in the body, even at a cellular level, follows this cycle. There is a period of conservation where you have matter, then that matter is transformed, releases energy, that released energy is utilized.
Wonderful. So the whole concept of the psychophysiological response in the body is a very intriguing concept that I think North Americans should embrace, because our medical systems do not take into account energy or spirituality. And all through physical, spiritual, energetic, are all important in the human experience for healing. And so could you just speak a little bit about how you feel about that, and with, the kind of the emotional response that you were looking for as viewers watched the film?
Yeah, it's one of the million-dollar question, right? What are doshas? It's not easy. It's not easy even to describe it. So the whole chapter, as you know, is almost 35 to 40 minutes long, and they've tried to show it. But I think a lot of doctors are now bowing to the understanding of doshas from the Ayurvedic perspective. I'm talking about allopathic doctors, especially the ones I met in Germany, who've also delved into Ayurveda, Dr. Christian Kessler, etc. And they are using it in a very profound way, where they treat patients allopathically, but they keep their prakriti in mind, so that when they choose, say, supposing for hypertension, they choose a certain medication. The categories are different. I'm not going to attempt to name them, because I'm not an expert, but this is what 2 or 3 of them told me, that the choice of medication, even if it's allopathic medication, was it influenced, knowing what the prakriti was, influenced their choice. So that then, and of course, as time goes, they try to wean them off, but that's pretty good direction to go towards for allopaths,
That's a huge advance.
Yeah, but if we really understand the 5 element basis of the principle of the 5 elements, and all of us, and it's just very, very, it becomes very, what shall I say, real. When you look at a leaf now, just think of the 5 elements that are in there. Or when you look at a person, or when you look at a root or a potato or anything you see, a wood, a piece of wood or a tree or a bark, or the 5 elements are in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we are made up of, and that's why we do certain things, right? The chapter tells us about all that, the
Yes.
qualities of vata, the qualities of pitta, and it makes sense when we think about it.
It definitely does.
So,
Neelam, do you have any questions that you would like to ask?
he's muted, so.
Did you hear me? What I'd like to do, maybe if you have any questions, could you put them in the chat box, and we can get them answered?
Will you read them to me, or shall I just read them?
You can look through them and see, some of them will just be comments and
Sure,
other ones
sure.
will be
That's what we do.
questions.
Yeah,
How can we view the film? I'll answer that.
sure.
We will give the link at the end, but I will also put it on our Facebook page as soon as we're finished.
Yes. UnveiledTrilogy.com takes you to all 3 films and trailers and all the information, purchase information. UnveiledTrilogy.com. Okay.
Maybe you could write it in the text, can you do that? Or do you want me to?
You can go ahead, please. I'm just reading through so I don't waste time here. I'm trying to, if you don't mind, Erica, please.
No, not at all.
UnveiledTrilogy.com. Thank you for your eye-opening presentation. Did you see? Christine has asked about the rarity and scarcity. That question did come up in some of the interviews, because now everybody's going after Ayurvedic, products like crazy. So I haven't really looked into it too much, but
Gita ji, I have responded to that because I am dealing with the herbs and I'm buying tons and tons of herbs. So I have, I'm meeting with the farmers and cooperatives. And so I have very good idea on that some popular herbs like guruchi or ashwagandha and things like that. So government of India is providing incentives to farmers so that they would grow. And ashwagandha, for example, it grows in, like, it doesn't need any rain, and it grows in like a desert kind of a conditions, which people they didn't know. So now anywhere on the roadside, especially in the southern India, like I have seen, like just next to the concrete roads, there would be ashwagandha growing wild, on the roadsides. So there is a lot of incentives that Department of Ayush, the Department of Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy. So they are taking care of that, except, some species which is found in Himalayas and that is getting extinct. And so there are regulations on the export of those materials. So those are not sent out or they are not used. So there are some substitute herbs that to be used, and that is, everybody knows that we don't use extinct herbs like jatamanshi and things like that. And then like a sandalwood, its government has totally banned the export of sandalwood and things like that. So government of India is trying all so that we are able to have the herbs and spices, what is needed. And also they are growing in different parts in the world also, like now there is like Banyan Botanical, they are growing their herbs, some of the herbs in the United States. And also some are grown in Mexico. So there, I see a very good future for the herbs. And I don't think so there would be any challenges to that aspect.
Yeah, and on daily basis, you don't need that much. I mean, you take, if your cooking style consists of the basic spices and seasonal greens and all, wherever you live, the body is resilient. It's very, very, what shall I say, resilient. It will show the signs very quickly. Any common herbs that we can grow here in the US? I mean, that's a question for a Vaidya, I suppose.
What was the question?
What herbs can we grow here in the US? That all depends on your prakriti and what you need to be.
And of course, where do you live in the United States? So for example, like in California, you can grow like a lot of herbs, but here in Canada, I don't think so. Anywhere in Canada, you can grow anything outdoors, because of the seasons.
Greenhouses.
Yeah, greenhouses, of course.
Yeah. When will you be showing it again in Colorado? Somebody asked, but the pandemic, a whole screening tour was planned, theatrical screening release, but then we just had about 16 of them, and then the pandemic hit us. So whenever everything opens up, of course, we'll be traveling with it. So you'll hear about it. Anything in India, they've become very Western. Yes, this film also needs to publish. Yeah, it's all in the film. Anju Singh mentions this. I have, you will see all about the Westernization and what the British did and how Ayurveda with the pandemic, they have started to go back. The whole world is now, this is a time for Ayurveda, as Erica mentioned. There's nothing better, you know, to polish up our immune systems. That's the best thing you can remind everybody, that we have soldiers within. And Ayurveda's precept, Ayurveda's thrust is where, how do we keep that the soldiers tip-top, rested, polished, so they are there to fight for us no matter what virus and what. Generally, we are not supposed to get sick. The immune system has to kick in if we are sleeping well, if you're drinking well, if you're out in the sun. This is again dinacharya, minute-to-minute living. That makes us resilient and makes us not get sick. So if we really hone into the vision of the sages, this is it. How not to get sick by simple measures of how we live in a day, morning till night, and even how we sleep and all that, wake up. But this is a very profound aspect of Ayurveda. If we unlock it, if we really understand it, we bring it to our lives, that's it.
And I believe even if we are sick, if we follow the principles of Ayurveda, even without a lot of herbs, if we start to follow some of the basics, I have seen amazing things happen to people's health.
Erica, right now I am shocked that nobody is talking about the Jalaneti, the nasal wash. When COVID, the pandemic, it is one of the best tools. Forget washing your hands and wearing a mask. You do the Jalaneti with the salt, which is an antiseptic, with the warm water, which brings immune cells into the mucosa every day, which washes, which kills germs and viruses because of the temperature.
But you see, there is an issue. We have to be very careful when we have some of those discussions. Just in Canada, with Health Canada, there's a lot of things going on right now that I don't want to get into that on this podcast.
Yes.
But I'm talking about Jalaneti as we brush and floss.
No, I know.
It's the dirtiest area in the body, and nobody ever teaches anyone how to do a daily nasal wash. It's the dirtiest.
Well, I think practitioners do.
Very little. I mean, I'm talking about with the COVID situation, especially the entry of and drying up, and the portal of entry for all the viruses.
Yeah.
No chance if you do the native. But yeah, regulations are a hurdle at times.
Yeah, they are.
We don't have a freedom of speech, at this
No,
time.
they have a deterrent.
We are in an emergency situation.
Yeah.
So we cannot express, we don't have that freedom to express our thoughts.
But Ayurveda has come a long way. This is a good time. This is a perfect time to spread the real Ayurveda, not the materialistic, I say, the allopathic way.
And we can do it in our clinics very easily. Just expression on the internet is sometimes not acceptable. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
I think we're okay. There's a question about, hypothyroidism. What you need to understand about Ayurveda is that there are many types of hypothyroidism. There are many types of every type of disease depending on your dosha. And that is not something that someone can answer in a webinar or in a book. You definitely need someone to help you to understand how to deal with those kinds of conditions depending on your prakriti and your vikriti and many other factors from an Ayurvedic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with every disease.
Yeah, it's much more complex than what we think. Definitely. You need good providers, you need good Vaidyas on your side to know more.
Yeah.
But there's somebody who asked, what is your vision for the Ayurvedic practitioners and students? I think my vision, if anybody would even listen to me, is empower people. That's your objective. Empower everybody to be their own doctors, to be really self-reliant on and know what we should be doing for ourselves so that we do not get sick. I am as healthy as you are, or I'm as healthy as my neighbor is. So our role is to really empower each one of us, especially being practitioners. You've got a lot of power. People walking in every day.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I mean, I don't want to get into the allopathic world, but the whole allopathic and hospital world has really disempowered people to be their own healers.
That's where the money is. So it will never change. It's
Yeah.
too deep rooted. So I don't think we need to dwell on that anymore. It's a given. It's a given. Erica, nothing we can do about this system of capitalism. But knowing that we know our vision and our objective and our becomes even more stronger.
Yeah, the
Conviction that I
community is
want
just
to
getting
empower.
bigger.
Yeah. More stronger, that we want to empower our patients. We want to empower everybody. I mean, I teach the lady who helps me in the kitchen and the cleaning ladies, I teach them everything. They're from El Salvador, but they've started doing Simha Kriya, and I give them this and that and neti pot and
Right.
ginger. I said, put ginger in, your regular, they just have hot drinks. So empower everybody.
Yeah.
Empower. This is what we can do.
Yes.
Share.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's 5:20. We're 20 minutes over. So thank you very much, Gita, for your wonderful presentation. I have it recorded, and it will go up on the Ayurvedic Association YouTube channel within the next week or two. And I'll make sure you get your copy for the people that you need it for.
Sure.
And if you have any other questions, I'm sorry, but we're already 20 minutes over our meeting time. So thank you very much to everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it by looking at your comments. I know you did. So I will say good evening to everyone and namaste.
Namaste, everybody.
Namaste. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And thank you, Erica and Neelamji. Thank you.
Yes, thank
May
you.
we meet again sometime.
And may Ayurveda empower the world. Take care, everyone.